Yeah, we talk about how we're the heartbeat of healthcare and all this stuff. But like when push comes to shove, do we respect our work enough to say, no, I'm not going there? Instead, what we do is we still accept a paycheck because we're all talk. We say all these things about how they put in policies and all that stuff that prevent us from actually giving high quality care. You know the work, you know the value of what that is. It doesn't matter if the CNO comes down and says, I'm a nurse too. You know the value of what nursing is. This is the Nice Veins Bro podcast, the #1 podcast for nurses who want to live that next level life. I am Nene Pablo, host of this podcast, registered nurse, and creator of Nice Veins Bro. 4 million nurses nationwide, the most trusted profession. The most trusted profession according to some polls that they've done with Gallup and Forbes. And we've been at that level for the last 20 years, I believe. We've been the most trusted above doctors, above firefighters, above police, goodness gracious, many other professions. I have a problem with that. It's not that I have a problem with it, but I really don't think you should ever trust a profession. I feel like that's a little bit misleading. I think you should trust people. I think you should trust individuals. 4 million people, that just to me, to be able to, the most trusted profession. We're talking about 4 million nurses here. 4 million nurses. I hate to burst your bubble, but not every nurse is trustworthy. Who are the 4 million is my question. Are we a bunch of TikTokers who are dancing in the hallways of hospitals? Are we a bunch of jaded bedside nurses? Who are the 4 million people? Not every nurse is good. In fact, some nurses are bad. So I put together a list of values and characteristics based on my opinion, I should add, that differentiate between nurses and nurses. I mean, people who made it through nursing school and passed boards, and people who I think embody what it means to be a nurse. Like the person who is living 100%, in their calling. Just because you have a mental capability, I think if you were to ask a lot of nurses this, they would agree. There's a mental capability that you have to have in order to get through nursing. But just because you have that mental capability does not mean that it's your calling. There's people who are working as nurses right now that low-key shouldn't be. You can teach empathy, but you can't teach someone to care. There's way too much to talk about here. What it means to be a nurse. There's so many things to talk about there. But I have boiled it down to my opinion, 5 things. Okay, 5 characteristics. Instead of making a 16-hour podcast, I made it into a series. They're all standalone. You don't have to go in a certain order to listen to them, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and all this stuff. But it's really going to be, what it means to be a real nurse, in my opinion. And that is respect the profession, put in the work, stay humble, practice what you preach, and love life and people. So those 5 things, I believe, are characteristics. When I look around and I say, okay, who are the best nurses that I've ever met? Who are the nurses that stand out? Who are the ringleaders? They have these characteristics, in my opinion. In this episode, we are going to be talking about the first one that I mentioned, which is respect the profession. Stay with me. Don't go anywhere. I'm about to call some people out.
Let go. Nah.
Hola mi gente, everybody has a crazy nursing story to tell. If you want to share yours with the world, send it to me. I'll feature it here on the podcast and you can get my take on it. You can also ask me questions, love questions. Remember, HIPAA rules do apply when you're telling your story, of course, and I will make sure you remain anonymous. I don't know what you're waiting for. Send me a message, niceveinsbro.com/podcast. That's again, niceveinsbro.com/podcast. Looking forward to it. Real nurses respect the profession. Real nurses recognize and acknowledge that there is a massive career and opportunity that start after you graduate nursing school. You are not a virtuous healthcare worker who deserves the nobility crown just because you made it through nursing school and passed boards. There's something to say about that. Yes, it's difficult. You made it through, okay? But a real nurse respects the duty in front of them after graduation. They recognize that a diploma, a degree, a license, a title, none of that stuff makes you worthy of respect and trust. What really, really counts is your skills, your experience, and your character. So they have such a respect for the profession that they're not spending time, with all of the accolades and shoving it down your throat that they are a nurse. And I see this a lot. I see the nurses that are the best out there aren't the ones that are trying to prove that they have, a certain title or a certain, those people are just annoying. When you're fresh out of nursing school, whether it's the first, bachelor's program that you have, or when you graduate from a master's degree, or if you have even further education, nobody cares. Nobody cares that, okay, well, some people care, but you're the one who decided to go to nursing school. You're the one who decided to put yourself in debt and learn this stuff. Now, what are you going to do with that knowledge? What are you going to do with that knowledge? A good nurse, a real nurse, is going to take that knowledge and fly. That nurse is going to respect the fact that there is a ladder to climb now. I just earned my ticket to enter the arena, okay? But I'm no ringleader here, So that's what a real nurse understands with their education. It's like I said, the skills, the experience, and your character. Real nurses respect the art of nursing and don't abuse their title because they know that the profession, what they do, the day-to-day is a lot more important than the title, than the diploma. It's what they do with what they have learned. And so here's the invitation. It's to take your job that seriously. There are times where, you can laugh and, have a lot of fun, but the duty, the respect that you have towards your job, the respect that you have towards your profession is game changer. This is why I have a thing, man, for some of these TikTok nurses dancing around at work. Like, it's not evil, bro, okay? It's not that I hate that people have fun or anything, but can we not do it at work? There's a certain level of respect you ought to have for the people that you take care of, for the populations that you're caring for you to separate, okay, here's what I do for fun, here's what I do as a joke. It's fine to laugh about things and humor is great, but there comes a point where I think that we can't be blurring the lines between what we do for people. This is some serious work. Lives are in our hands, okay? And you've got to respect that. You've got to respect it, The annoying thing is that these same nurses that are out in social media, again, I'm not trying to shade anybody, but these people who are out in social media, or people who don't take their job seriously or are joking about it and all this stuff, then they go out and start demanding from the public to give them respect because of what they do, and they're out dancing on TikTok. Like, that doesn't match up, bro. And I have no problem calling them out. No problem calling those people out, because sometimes I wish nursing was a little more like the military. Like, you want to be a nurse? Great. Fantastic. In fact, I'm the first one to sign you up for that. It's great. But we don't play. All right? We don't play. When you have a duty to carry out, you go and there's honor involved, and there's respect, and there is dignity, And there's a lot of seriousness that goes on with that. The respect that you have towards your job, the respect that you have towards your profession is game changer. And I'll tell you why. When you respect the work that you do, you honor that work and that craft, and you value it even when your organization or your hospital or your employer does not. This is why it's so important to respect the profession. This is why it's so important. Is because what's going to happen when your manager doesn't respect you and doesn't respect your work? Right? What's going to happen when the hospital system wants to abuse your work, your sacrifice, to make more profit for themselves? I mean, if you don't have a respect for your own work, you're just going to let them walk over you. Not me. Not me, not with the kind of work that I do. I mean, if you view your work as a sacred kind of work, you do not let anyone touch that or let you compromise that. You've got to respect your work so much that you draw a line where you're not willing to cross, and you're serious, you're dead serious about it. You know, when something or someone outside above you threatens the quality of care that you're able to deliver, nope. I'm drawing that line right here. I'm not crossing that. And too often I feel like nurses don't respect themselves enough. They don't respect the work that they do enough. Yeah, we talk about how we're the heartbeat of healthcare and all this stuff. But like when push comes to shove, like, do we respect our work enough to say, no, I'm not going there? Instead, what we do is we still accept the paycheck because we're all talk. We say all these things about how, for example, hospitals are, they put in policies and all that stuff that prevent us from actually giving high quality care. We say all these things. I've heard it time and time again, where it compromises the time we get to spend with our patients. We don't do, as accurate as assessments as we should, because we're rushed. And we're taking on more patients, and the nurse to patient ratio is crazy. All these things and more. You know what I'm talking about. Where they put these policies in place and all this stuff, and it's all falls onto the shoulders of the nurse, and it becomes so weighty on your shoulders that then what starts to compromise is the actual care that you give to your patient, because it just becomes a checkbox. And if you document it, then you're good. Doesn't matter if you actually did it as long as you document it, right? And so if you respect your work and your time and the thing that you do, which is called nursing, if you respect that high enough, if you see the profession outside of whether the employer or the hospital or whatever organization you're a part of, if you see nursing as something outside of what you do for your job, and you start to respect it, and see it as this beautiful craft that you have become a part of, there's no one who can cross because, you're going to put a policy in place? You're going to promote something that doesn't actually help my patient? No. You've drawn that line. This is not something that I'm willing to do. I respect the art of nursing too much to compromise the quality of how I deliver it. I said, I respect the art of nursing too much to compromise the quality of how I deliver it. You know the work, you know the value of what that is. It doesn't matter if the CNO comes down and says, I'm a nurse too. You know the value of what nursing is. You know how amazing that work is. You have a respect for it. And you're not willing to compromise it, no matter what anybody tells you. Doesn't matter if they offer you cold pizza parties. I'm not going there. I respect it too much. And the best nurses out there do this. The nurses that are way above and beyond everybody else, they understand the concept that nursing is so much bigger than your employer. Nursing is so much bigger than your hospital. They take on a responsibility that is sacred. They take on a responsibility that they don't joke around. They don't play around with it. This beautiful work that we call nursing, you're not going to rush it. You're not going to threaten it. No, you're not going to abuse it. That's the kind of respect that you have to have for nursing. When you respect the profession of nursing, you represent it well. You represent it well. Reputation is not everything. I get that. But it sure does go a long way. It goes a very long way. And as much as I'm not a huge fan of that statement that I said at the beginning, that, we're the most trusted profession, there is a reason why it's a thing. They did those polls and those surveys, and we were rated the most ethical and the most honest profession. And like I said, nobody should fully trust a whole profession of 4 million people. Just like nobody should fully trust a massive entity, organization, or even the government. It's just not a smart idea to fully blindly trust. You trust people. I mean, any idea why this poll was favorable for nurses? I mean, if I had to guess, it's probably because the people who actually took the polls had a nurse in their life that they trusted, maybe. Or maybe it's the depiction of what nurses are, in media or something. And I hope that reputation, I hope with all of my heart that reputation continues, that people continue to trust people in healthcare, people who are nurses. But we have to understand that we are not susceptible at all. We are not susceptible to a bad reputation. That goes quick, like that. It's gone. We are not susceptible to a bad reputation, to having mistrust from people. The way to continue or to maintaining that trust that people have and that good reputation that we have is to represent nursing well. Nurses who respect the profession, real nurses, they represent nursing well. Do you really think that we do any good by bashing other professions? Talking crap about a doctor or talking crap about, pharmacy or their tech even. How is that how is that representing nursing well? It's not. What about bashing other nurses? I cannot tell you the amount of bashing that happens when you are in one specialty and they'll be talking about another specialty. How is that living out, or representing nursing well? Like you'll have ICU people talk crap about ER and ER talk crap about ICU. And then you'll have PCU, talking crap about med-surg. Literally, what good does that do? Nothing. We even hate our own specialty. This is another thing that bothers me. We don't represent nursing well by hating on our own profession. We hate on our own profession. We literally talk about how we hate our jobs, how bedside nursing is a piece of crap, how, it's all burnout. We're just cleaning poop all day, just constant bashing your profession and not ever saying anything good about your profession. What kind of reputation do you think we get when all we do is complain? All we do is complain. We don't talk about any of the good stuff. Represent nursing well, y'all. Like sometimes I hear groups of nurses never say anything positive about being a nurse. Non-stop talking about how their job is rough. They talk about how terrible the system is, how terrible the hospital is. What kind of reputation do we get? We are not susceptible to a bad reputation. It takes one thing. I mean, think about the COVID-19 pandemic. The medical community was torched. We were torched. Totally. I mean, do you think that people or the public trust the medical field more now or less? And you're going to sit there and say, well, it's the public's fault. No. That's a perfect example of how we can go from the top of the most trusted profession and start going down and down and down. Represent nursing well. We had such an opportunity in COVID. Such an opportunity. Instead, we started mandating stuff. You can't mandate trust. You can only win it. Okay, and I think that there was a ton of moves that we did that were stupid. Let your work speak for itself. Listen to me. Win people's trust for the mere fact that you are good. The best nurses out there, they're open and honest about what they know and what they don't know. Stop focusing on getting people to give you respect. Stop blurring the lines between activism and nursing. It's weird. Speak reality rooted in non-biased, evidence-based practice, not some research that was funded by some organization that has a political agenda. Okay? Let people have the freedom to make decisions for themselves with a loving and tender heart. Let your life reflect what you stand for. Real nurses represent nursing well because they respect the profession. It is so much bigger. It is so much bigger than a paycheck. Hey, I just want to thank you for listening. It means the world to me, especially because at the time of this recording, I'm still only a couple months from starting this whole thing. So if you're interested in helping me build this brand even more, please share this podcast on your social media and grab some merch from the website at niceveinsbro.com. Got some great stuff there for sale. Send me a DM on Instagram and share some encouragement, some love, and some hate. I will welcome that too. But don't be shy. Talk to you soon. I wanted to remind you that this episode is one in a series because I didn't want to make it too long. I was originally going to all put it into one episode, but it was just going to be too long and complicated. So it's a series on what makes a real nurse, in my opinion. I'm making a distinction between people who hold a nursing license and people whose nursing license affirms what they already hold. This episode was on respecting the profession of nursing, but there's other ones in the series. Real nurses respect the profession. They put in the work. They stay humble. They practice what they preach. They love life and people. I have a question for you, and that is, what kind of nurse do you want to be? And more importantly, what kind of person do you want to be? Thanks so much again for listening to this particular episode. I will add the links to the other episodes down in the show notes for you to be able to find those and enjoy. If you feel like this has helped you or that it might help someone else, please share it on your social media. Please follow us online as well. I am Nene Pablo. Thank you again for joining on this podcast. Que Dios me los bendiga. Los quiero mucho. When I would listen to podcasts before I became a podcaster myself, I didn't realize how much leaving a 5-star review helped. And so now on this side, I just want you to know that it really does mean a whole lot when people review and share the content. So if you enjoyed it, please share it with somebody and leave a 5-star review on whichever platform you use, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. And if you're interested, you can also find us on social media at niceveinsbro or shop online at niceveinsbro.com. My personal stuff you can find under Nene Pablo, which is spelled NENEPABLO. I spend most of my time on YouTube making vlogs and videos and on Instagram. So I would love to connect with you. And remember, be a positive force and influence within healthcare and society. It's all about God, wellness, and purpose here. Thank you for listening.